Okay, so today we're really diving deep into this fascinating material about photo frame photography.
Yeah, this is a wedding photography business, but it's really clear that they're not just, snapping pictures.
Right, it's a whole experience.
Yeah, they're crafting an experience for these couples. It's really interesting how they talk about the emotional side of it.
I was going to say that, the way they really focus on capturing the couple's story and the emotions of the day.
Yeah, and you can see in the materials, they're not just talking about getting the perfect pose.
Right.
It's about capturing those genuine moments of laughter and those, those happy tears, know.
Oh, the glances.
The glances that couples share, yeah.
Yeah, that tell the story.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do they actually, bring that out? How do they make that happen?
Well, they talk a lot about using humor and being adaptable.
Yeah.
And, I think that's really key because weddings can be really stressful.
Oh, absolutely.
So, having a photographer who can kind of lighten the mood and make people laugh.
Yeah.
That can really help a couple relax and, let their true personalities come out.
That's so true because, I can imagine being, the bride or the groom and just feeling so much pressure.
Yeah.
To have everything be perfect and
to look perfect in the pictures.
To look perfect. And then, if you have a photographer who's, really serious and kind of, uptight.
Yeah, it could make it worse.
It could just make it worse.
Exactly. So, they talk about using humor to kind of break the ice, to ease the tension.
Right.
Maybe tell a well-timed joke or, create a playful moment.
Yeah, I like that.
And that really, helps the couple relax and their personalities shine through.
But I'm curious about this because I'm thinking okay, humor, that's great. Everyone loves to laugh.
Right.
But doesn't that kind of risk making the whole thing feel less, romantic?
Yeah, that's a really good question because you are, it's a wedding. It's supposed to be this romantic day.
Right.
But what's interesting is that photo frame, they really emphasize that humor doesn't have to undermine the romance at all.
Okay.
In fact, they argue that, shared laughter can actually enhance that connection between a couple.
Interesting.
It brings out those genuine smiles. It creates these authentic moments. And they even give this example of, encouraging couples to share funny stories from their relationship during the shoot.
Oh, I love that.
And it brings out those genuine smiles and creates these beautiful, authentic moments.
Yeah, that's capturing those inside jokes.
Yeah.
And the things that, only they understand.
Exactly.
And to me, that's so much more powerful than just, a posed picture.
I agree. And it really speaks to their emphasis on adaptability too.
Why?
Because they're not following some rigid script. They're really responding to the unique dynamics of each couple and, figuring out what works for them.
Yeah. And it's interesting because they also mention this, father-son legacy element to the business.
Yes.
And that to me speaks to this kind of, personal touch and, that it's not just a factory churning out wedding photos.
Yeah. They were a team for over 2 decades.
Wow.
Operating out of New York since 2000. And, even after the father's retirement and passing, the son is carrying on that tradition.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is. It's really a testament to the values and the vision that they built together.
Yeah, you can really sense that passion for creating meaningful experiences in everything they do.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think we've covered a lot about photo frame photography and what makes them special.
Definitely.
Their focus on creating a unique and personalized experience, their adaptability, their use of humor to bring out the best in their couples.
Yes, and that amazing legacy.
And that legacy, yeah.
It makes you think about the power of photography, especially on a wedding day. It's not just about documenting the event. It's about, shaping the memories and emotions associated with it.
That's a great point.
So, it's worth asking yourself, what kind of story do you want your photos to tell?
That's a really great question to think about.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great place to leave it for today.
I agree.
So thanks for joining me on this deep dive into photo frame photography.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, happy photographing, everyone.
Yes, happy photographing.